Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. So today we are going to bring you guys with us to see the counterfeit cosmetic product in Malaysia. Alright, jom, let's go. Hello guys, okay, so right now we are in Masjid Jamek Kuala Lumpur, places where most of the counterfeit cosmetic are being sold. And now we are tracking sellers who are selling counterfeit products. Let's go.
So right now, I'm standing near Masjid Jamek Kuala Lumpur, where we commonly see stalls selling cosmetic products like this. At first glance, these cosmetics look similar to branded products. Same packaging, same labels and sold at a very low price. However, many of these counterfeit cosmetics often sold by foreign sellers operating informally without proper license or safety approval from the authorities.
When we talk about counterfeit products, most people imagine fake luxury bags or imitation sneakers. But today, I want to focus on something much closer to our daily life: cosmetics. Makeup, skincare, and beauty products that many of us use every single day. Counterfeit cosmetics emerged as a response to the rapid growth of the global beauty industry. Over the past decade, demand for makeup and skincare products have increased significantly, driven by social media, beauty influencers, and the expansion of e-commerce. As consumers become more exposed to premium cosmetic brands, interest in this product grows faster than purchasing power, especially among young consumers and students. This imbalance creates favorable conditions for counterfeit cosmetics to enter the market. The counterfeit cosmetic market expanded quickly due to changes in distribution channels. Previously, counterfeit goods were mainly sold through informal or street markets. Today, digital platforms, social media, and live stream e-commerce have made counterfeit cosmetics widely accessible. Sellers often use terms such as OEM or factory surplus to create an impression of authenticity, allowing counterfeit products to circulate more openly and reach a larger consumer base. The market has continued to boom because of relatively low production costs and high profit margins. With consumer awareness and limited enforcement further reduce the risk faced by counterfeit producers. As long as demand remains strong and online marketplaces provide easy access, counterfeit cosmetics can be produced and distributed on a large scale. At present, counterfeit cosmetics represent a significant segment of the broader counterfeit goods market. They are no longer limited to small-scale operations but are a part of organized supply chains that operate across borders. The scale of this market reflects both the size of the global beauty industry and the growing reliance on digital marketplace, making counterfeit cosmetics a persistent and expanding issue. In short, counterfeit cosmetics have become a widespread and persistent problem due to strong consumer demand, low production costs, and easy access through online platforms. As the beauty industry continues to grow, stronger enforcement and greater consumer awareness are essential to reduce the risk posed by these products.
Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to discuss something that is fairly important to us, which is the counterfeit cosmetics industry. And today I have a very special guest with us, Ikim Firdaus, who is a microeconomy expert specializing in market theory. Please join me in welcoming Ikim Firdaus. So now that we understand how big the counterfeit cosmetics market is, let's talk about how this market actually works. Is it competitive? Or is it controlled by a few players? Or is it entirely something else, Ikim?
Thank you, Zakwan, for the question. To answer that question, what makes this market interesting is that this market, it doesn't fit neatly just into one market structure, but instead it behaves differently depending on which level of supply chain that we're looking at.
So now let's talk about the consumer side, the retail market. What kind of structure is this?
At the retail level, the counterfeit cosmetic market closely resembles monopolistic competition. There are many sellers such as online platform, small shops and night markets that sell similar products but each of them will try to appear differently.
Different how?
I guess through brand packaging, brand imitation, or claims like OEM quality or same factory as original. So even though the product is similar, sellers will try to create an illusion of differentiation. According to the OECD, cosmetics are one of the most frequently counterfeit consumer goods globally, precisely because the demand is high and the products are easy to imitate. So even though the products are similar, consumers will perceive them differently, and that is exactly what we define as monopolistic competition.
So let me ask you something. If you were to see two lipsticks online that look almost identical, one is 30 ringgit and one is 90 ringgit, would most consumer immediately know which one is fake?
In my opinion, most wouldn't, because I myself would not recognize which one is fake, which one is the original one. But that uncertainty will allow sellers to charge different prices according to the products, even for counterfeit goods.
But things change when we move upstream, right? What about the production side?
Yes, at the manufacturing level, the structure looks very different. Production is often concentrated among a small number of large-scale counterfeit producers, especially in manufacturing hubs. Interpol and EU customs data show that a relatively small number of factories are responsible for a large share of seized counterfeit cosmetics.
So that's closer to an oligopoly, right?
Exactly. These producers benefit from economies of scale like bulk chemical purchases, shared molds, and mass production. This creates oligopolistic trades, where a few producers supply to many downstream sellers. In simple terms, many sellers at the bottom and only a few big producers at the top.
So is it easy for anyone to enter this kind of production market?
Not really. Despite being illegal, there are significant entry barriers such as capital investment, access to chemical suppliers, distribution networks, and the ability to evade enforcement. Ironically, the counterfeit production market can be more concentrated than the legitimate one. So while the legal cosmetics market competes through innovation, the counterfeit market competes through scale and deception.
So to summarize, what does this tell us about the market structure of overall counterfeit cosmetic industry?
At the retail level, counterfeit cosmetics behave like monopolistic competition. However, at the production level, the market shows oligopolistic characteristic, and this mixed structure creates a serious microeconomic problems, especially from the supply side, which bring us to the next part, why this market structure leads to inefficiency, welfare loss, and market failure.
For me, the first and the most fundamental issue is information asymmetry. Because in the counterfeit cosmetic industry, market and producers and sellers know exactly what they are selling, but consumers often don't. For example, counterfeit skincare product frequently copy the packaging of well-known brands like MAC, Fenty, or high-end Korean skincare labels. To an average consumer shopping online, especially on the third-party platforms, the fake and the genuine products look almost identical. And according to WHO, they have already warned us that in many developing and emerging markets, a significant share of domestic sold informally may be substandard and counterfeit, precisely because consumers cannot verify product safety. This creates a classic adverse selection problem. When consumers expect that the product might be fake, they become less willing to pay high prices even for genuine ones. Over time, low-quality products dominate the market, while trust erodes, exactly what microeconomics predicts in markets in the asymmetric information. Miss.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? What do you think about the people willingness to pay for a counterfeit cosmetic items?
I think in my opinion, personally I would not buy a fake goods, but then some people will buy it if it is within their budget. But then to differentiate between fake goods and original products, it is very hard. So I think people will not buy it anyway unless it comes from a trusted source.
So what do you think is the negative effects or externalities with buying fake cosmetic products?
I think I have read somewhere that European Union customs authorities have repeatedly highlighted that counterfeit cosmetic pose direct health risks, including skin irritation, long-term damage, and allergic reaction. The key point here is that these health costs are not paid by the counterfeit producers. Instead, the costs are borne by the consumers, healthcare system, and even the legitimate cosmetic firms whose brand reputation suffers.
So last question, what do you think about the social cost of producing counterfeit cosmetic items?
So the social cost of producing counterfeit goods is far higher than the private costs faced by the illegal producers, which leads to overproduction from society's perspective.
So for the next problem, I think is regarding the resource misallocation, which often overlooked by us. Capital, labor, as well as raw materials, which be diverted towards the illegal manufacturing, can actually be used for regulated manufacturing, research and innovation, as well as development. If you look into the report by OECD and EU IPO, estimated that global trade in counterfeit and pirated goods worth more than hundreds of billions dollars annually, that resources operate entirely outside a formal economy. These activities generate no tax revenue, no innovation, and no long-term productivity gains. From economic perspective, this isn't just illegal, it's a wasteful use of scarce resources. So when we combine information asymmetry, negative externalities, as well as the resource misallocation, the outcome is an inefficient market equilibrium. Prices do not reflect true social costs. Quantities produced are inefficiently high, and the overall social welfare is reduced. In simple terms, society ends up worse off even though counterfeit producers continue to profit. So the counterfeit cosmetics market is not just a legal issue. It's a textbook example of market failure driven by supply-side distortion. This is why response from government, firms, as well as consumers are crucial, which brings us to the final part of the discussion.
After understanding why counterfeit cosmetics create market failure, the next question is how do we fix it? Correcting these problems requires coordinated responses from governments, firms, and consumers. To explore this, I will speak to Grace, a regular cosmetic consumer, and then I will conclude with the broader implications. As a consumer, do you think government enforcement against counterfeit cosmetics is important?
Absolutely, counterfeit product can be harmful to our health. So with the enforcement, it helps to protect the consumer against this counterfeit product.
What this shows is the role of enforcement in correcting market failure. In the counterfeit cosmetics market, illegal producers ignore health risks and social costs. Government enforcement raises the expected cost of illegal production through rates, fines, and penalties. This reduces supply by raising private costs closer to the true social cost. When enforcement becomes stricter, producing counterfeit cosmetics becomes riskier and more expensive. As a result, fewer illegal sellers are willing to produce, and the amount of counterfeit goods in the market falls. This is a classic supply-side intervention aimed at internalizing external costs. As a regular consumer, how do you try to avoid counterfeit cosmetics?
I usually buy from authorized sellers or official online platform, also checking their packages, labels, and avoid buying unusually cheap products.
This directly addresses information asymmetry. Counterfeit markets survive because consumers cannot distinguish between real and fake products. When consumers can verify authenticity, trust is restored and genuine products can command fair prices. Firms use tools like QR codes, tamper-proof packaging, and blockchain tracking to reduce information asymmetry. These technologies help consumers verify authenticity, raise the cost of imitation for counterfeit producers, and prevent fake goods from entering legitimate supply chains. As a result, trust is restored, adverse selection is reduced, and market efficiency improves. Has awareness about counterfeit cosmetics changed the way you shop? And do you think consumer awareness help reduce counterfeit cosmetics?
Yes, definitely. I will check the ratings, the seller review, as well as the price before purchasing. With this, we will reduce the purchase of this counterfeit product, and hence will reduce the demand.
This demonstrates how informed consumers influence market outcomes. When awareness increases, consumers avoid counterfeits. Demand for counterfeit products falls. Lower demand reduces profitability for illegal producers. Although consumer awareness alone cannot fix market failure, it strengthens supply-side policy by reducing incentives for counterfeit production. Across this project, we have shown that counterfeit cosmetics are not just illegal, they are economically harmful. From a market perspective, counterfeit cosmetics distort prices, reduces consumer trust, generate serious health risks, and divert resources away from productive and innovative activities. We explain how counterfeit supply expands due to weak enforcement and strong profit incentives, allowing illegal producers to operate at low cost. We also demonstrate that this market suffers from clear macroeconomic failures, including information asymmetry, negative externalities, and resources misallocation. Government enforcement raises the cost of illegal production, firms reduce information gaps through authentication technologies, and consumer awareness weakens demand for counterfeit goods. In short, these measures help restore market efficiency, reduce overproduction, and improve overall social welfare. Counterfeit cosmetics persist not because market fell accidentally, but because market failures are left uncorrected. When enforcement is weak, illegal producers continue to profit by ignoring health risks, consumer harm, and broader social costs. This project has shown that counterfeit cosmetics are a supply-side problem that requires supply-side solutions. Effective intervention must focus on changing incentives. Governments need to raise the cost of illegal production through stronger enforcement and penalties. Firms must continue investing in authentication technologies that reduce information asymmetry and protect consumer trust. And consumers play a supporting role by making informed choices and refusing to support counterfeit markets. When these responses work together, incentives change. Illegal supply becomes less profitable, legitimate firms are rewarded, and market outcomes move closer to what is socially efficient. In the end, addressing counterfeit cosmetics is not just about protecting brands, it is about protecting consumers, improving welfare, and ensuring markets work as they should.
Okay, so right now we are at Guardian, which is the proper pharmacy, the right place to buy the original products for cosmetic goods. So I know original products might be more expensive and the fake products might be cheaper, but at least you know what you're putting on your face, right? So don't buy counterfeit goods, do buy the original product from the right place and right stores. Thank you.